Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Love. I hope everyone is doing great. So in today's video, as you can already see from the title, it will be very informative and very important for all the future travelers coming from anywhere to Canada, hopefully once the border reopens, or who will be traveling anytime soon. So if you have been following me on YouTube, you know I have made so many videos regarding the Canada restrictions and updates on the quarantine rules and especially the hotel quarantine. So in today's video as well, I will be sharing the most recent and the most important updates that have been coming from Canada, especially regarding the quarantine rules and the vaccination rule changes. So many people have requested for this video as well. So here I am, and in today's video, I will be covering all the most recent updates that came from Canada and what you can expect once the border reopens, because a lot of rules have been changing and a lot of new things could come up once the border reopens, and I think this is very important for everyone to be made aware about. So here I am in today's video, and again, to clarify, the rules and implementations that I will be talking about in today's video have not been implemented yet, but most likely they will be implemented once the border reopens, as that information is also available on the Canadian government website. Hence, there is a very good chance that those rules might get implemented once the border reopens, and I will be explaining all of the technical terms as well in a very simple language. So without wasting any time, guys, let's begin the video. The top doctors have recommended the same to the federal government, that the hotel quarantine is not really working and it should be ended sooner, as it is also very expensive. Here are some of the news articles which also clarifies the same. I'll leave the link down for them in the description. Moving on, there are certain other changes that would be made for people who are vaccinated, who are partially vaccinated, and who are not vaccinated at all. And these rules are also mentioned and the updates are mentioned on the Canadian government website, but in a very confusing language, which I will be sharing with you guys and will try to clarify in a simple way. Also, one more doubt that I would like to clear before I continue with this is that some students asked me that would we be allowed to come to Canada if we are not vaccinated at all. So to clarify them, yes, you will still be allowed to come to Canada even if you don't take any vaccination. Canada has not made any such rule, and I don't think they will make any such rule that if you're not vaccinated you won't be allowed to travel to Canada. So that is a myth, and that should be out of your head, that if you're not vaccinated you won't be allowed. That is not true. Moving on, some rules could be changed regarding people who are vaccinated and not, and what could those be? Let's go ahead and I'll show it to you on my computer and explain that on the way. Okay, so I just received a message from a friend as well who actually just arrived in Canada today, and I will be talking to him today, and I will be sharing his experience and how he traveled from the indirect route and what was the route, and other indirect routes tomorrow or very soon in the next video. And so make sure you're subscribed for that video as well. But for now, let's go ahead and talk about the measures, the current border measures, as well as what could be implemented in the future. So I have prepared it in like step by step. So firstly, I will be talking about, as you can see, summary of the current border measures for persons entering Canada. So this is what is currently going on. So number one, again, you need to have an ArriveCan app. uh, for air, I'm talking about air here. So for people traveling by a plane, ArriveCan app you need to have for pre-departure testing. For people who are 5 plus, must have a proof of COVID negative test. Molecular tests have taken up to 72 hours before the departure. But for now, for people who are traveling from either India or Pakistan, they should also have an arrival testing from their last layover city if they're coming from an indirect route, which is very important, as if you don't have that, then Canadian government and immigration could create a problem for you. Moving on, arrival testing. Yes, molecular test before departure from the airport is the arrival testing that when you come in Canada is required if you travel by air. Follow-up testing, again, yes, you need to take an additional PCR test on the day 10. How to do it, I've made a video about it. If you're already in Canada, you're provided with a test kit at the airport and instructions before leaving the airport, so you have to do it on the 10th day, which is again going on right now. Quarantine, mandatory 14-day quarantine, including 3-day hotel quarantine at their cost upon arrival into the negative COVID-19 test is received. So this is the current restrictions that are going on. If I scroll down, you can see currently travelers who are exempt, like maybe travelers who are exempt from the arrival testing, pre-testing, and quarantine exemptions. Again, these are all the people who are exempt. I'll leave a link down in the description for you if you want to go through this as well. Moving on, why are they making the changes in this quarantine rules and what was the problem? So as you can see here, they shared that in Canada, The current approach to mandatory hotel quarantine is not applied equally to land and air travelers, is expensive to administer, provide opportunities for travelers to bypass by paying a fine, and is inconsistent with incubation period of the virus. So again, these were different problems that were created by the mandatory hotel quarantine, which is going on, and that is why they have the panel physicians and doctors have recommended to change these rules and end the hotel quarantine, which could save us a lot of money. Now, moving on, what are the new rules? So basically, this table is a simple table which is present on the Government of Canada website. So again, I won't be reading out anything from any particular website. As you can see, this is from the Government of Canada website, so it is legit and from their website. I'll also leave down this link below in the description if you want to go through it for yourself as well. Moving on, again, like I mentioned, this simple table will explain everything you need to know in the future, what you can expect could happen after 22nd of June, or most likely once the border reopens. The date has not been finalized yet, but that is expected. It could happen by the end of June. So they have also explained it in a table way as well as in a paragraph way. I thought the table way would be easier for you to understand and for me to explain. And I will also be explaining all the different terms. So basically, they have categorized travelers into five different categories. As you can see, people who are not vaccinated, partially vaccinated, fully vaccinated, travelers with proof of previous infection, and exempt travelers. So to understand this, let's go ahead and understand all these terms first of all, and then go ahead and look at the table. So here, as you can see, it says terms for vaccinated travelers. So what does this mean? The people who have received both the doses of a two-dose authorized vaccine or a one dose of a single dose authorized vaccine and 14 days have passed since the final dose. So two things to keep in mind if you want to be considered under vaccinated category. So you need to have both doses of a two dose authorized vaccine or a single dose of a single dose authorized vaccine, and very important, 14 days should have been passed since the final dose. Only then you will be considered vaccinated. If you're looking to travel maybe after 2 days of getting vaccinated, then you won't be considered as a vaccinated traveler. You will be considered as unvaccinated. Now, secondly, the second term is partially vaccinated. People who received only the first dose of a two-dose vaccination authorized vaccine at least 14 days ago and are within the recommended maximum interval period between those doses. Those people are considered as partially vaccinated. Lastly, the unvaccinated people who have are those people who have not received a single dose of COVID-19 vaccine or those with a single dose of a two-dose COVID-19 vaccine and the recommended maximum two-dose interval period has passed. So those people will be considered unvaccinated people or travelers who will be coming to Canada. So as you can see, it does mention authorized vaccine. So which are the authorized vaccines in Canada? To clarify that, as you can see, these are all the authorized vaccines. So Moderna, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Johnson vaccine are all the vaccines which are authorized currently in Canada. For people in India, for them to make it a little easier, we have two types of vaccine currently in India. Number one is Covishield, and number two is Covaxin. So to clarify, Covishield is actually the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is the only vaccine approved in Canada right now. So if you have taken Covaxin, that is not approved in Canada, but Covishield is approved in Canada. But again, if you do not take any vaccine, again, you won't be stopped from entering into Canada. Just clarifying that myth again. Moving on, so as we understood all the terms, now to clarify the table, so as you can see, it says border measures for persons entering Canada. Now for non-exempt travelers, so first of all, people who are not vaccinated, you need to take a pre-departure test, that is a departure test that is within 72 hours of your flight or from the last layover city. If you're traveling from India through an indirect route, you need to take the pre-departure test, you need to take an on-arrival testing at the airport, and you need to do a quarantine plus day 7 test with exit after negative day 7 test. So this is something good. Initially there were 14 days of quarantine, but if these rules get implemented, you will only have to do a 7-day testing, because the doctors have said that the 7-day quarantine will be as effective as 14 days if you get a negative test result. And if you get a negative test result after the 7th day, you will be free to go and you won't have to complete the 14 days. So these are the three things that you need to follow if you're not vaccinated, if you're considered in the non-vaccinated category, unvaccinated category. Secondly, if you're considered in the partially vaccinated, then you would need to take a pre-departure test, which is a test within 72 hours, and on-arrival COVID testing, and you also would need to do quarantine plus arrival testing with exit after negative arrival testing. So this quarantine is, I think, Okay, so to basically clarify the difference between the first quarantine plus arrival test and quarantine plus day 7 test. So, this one for partially vaccinated people, quarantine plus arrival test is the first 3-day quarantine that you do. And if the hotel quarantine stops, then you will be doing it at your own home or at any other private place. And if your arrival test comes out to be negative and you are in a partially vaccinated category, you won't have to continue your quarantine anymore and you will be free to go out. But if you're not vaccinated, then you will have to do quarantine, and then you also will have to do an on arrival testing. That test results comes out to be negative, but you'll still have to continue and will have to take a day 7 test again. And if that test results comes out to be negative, you are free to go out. For people who will be fully vaccinated, again, for fully vaccinated who have received both doses of a 2-dose vaccine or only one dose of a single dose authorized vaccine and 14 days have passed, for those people, they won't have to do a pre-departure test. That is, you don't have to take a COVID testing from your home country or from an indirect layover country. You will only need to take an on-arrival testing, and you won't have to do a quarantine, either the 3-day quarantine or the 7-day quarantine. You won't have to do anything at all. You will only need to come to Canada and take an arrival testing. So this saves some money for you for quarantine. Now, for those travelers with proof of previous infection, so if you've already suffered from COVID in the past and have a positive report, and I think this should be within last 14 to 90 days. And if you've had this, you would not need to take a pre-departure test, and this applies to those people who are also traveling from an indirect route. You won't have to take a pre-departure test from a layover city or from your home country if this rule gets implemented. Again, not right now. If this rule gets implemented once the border reopens, you won't have to take a pre-departure test, but you will still need to take an arrival testing, which is, again, as you can see, it's almost for everyone. You will have to do a 3-day quarantine and you'll have to wait for the result of the arrival testing. If that results comes out to be negative, you are free to go out. You won't have to wait for 7th day test. This is for travelers with proof of previous infection. Now, for the travelers who are exempt, so like I showed you the table for exempt travelers, it is most likely the healthcare workers and other essential travelers. If you're in that category, then you don't have to do anything. You just have to do a voluntary testing. That's all. You don't have to do quarantine or day 7 test or a pre-departure test. That is not for you. So this basically this table clarifies the rule that could be implemented once the border reopens or anytime soon in a few weeks. And as you can see, they have classified into 5 different categories. So I hope this clarifies you and your category. Now you can basically think and which category you will be falling in and what you can expect in your category in your case. And vaccinated refers to vaccines authorized for Canada. Yes, that is true. So authorized in Canada where 14 days passed since first receiving the final dose. So again, if you want to be considered under full vaccinated travelers, you need to take a vaccine. You would need to have the vaccine taken, which is authorized in Canada, which is one of these 4 vaccines, and 14 days should have passed since your final dose of vaccination was done. Now this paragraph also explains the same thing but in a paragraph way. I'll leave the link down for this in the description as well. Again, to clarify for you guys so that you guys don't get misunderstood, this rule has not been implemented yet, but there are very high chances that this rule could be implemented anytime soon in a few weeks, maybe when the border reopens, because this is also present on Government of Canada website. Again, there could be certain amendments to these updates and rules, and if something new happens, something new changes, I will make sure to post that again on my channel. I do hope you find this video useful and it answered your questions about this. And as always, I will make sure to keep you guys posted and updated, and I will be posting some experience over the students who have been traveling from indirect routes very soon. And as always, guys, stay safe, stay inside. Do subscribe for more videos to leave a like to the video. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.